Good evening. My name is Tashambi Basemore, and I am an employee here at WDRB FOX-41 News. The documentary that you are about to see is a documentary that I started filming during the spring of 2008. Now, when I was younger growing up in the Clarksdale housing projects, it was instilled in me to make a difference in anyone's life, whoever I meet. Right now, I want to make that difference in my community. So without further ado, we present The Wake Up Call.
I was at work. I was working. I was teaching school at my job, and somebody called me on my job and told me what had happened. He had been shot.
And so I guess it was about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. We got a call and said that he had been shot.
When the gunshots went off, we left. We got ready to get in the car, and I got a phone call saying Terrell had got shot. They didn't say he had got killed.
When we got to her, I couldn't even look my daughter in the face and tell her.
When they took my son from me, they took part of me. And it hurts right today. I got a hole in my heart that never will heal.
I don't know. Too many people don't want to get out here and get it themselves, so they get jealous of a person. They see a person doing good and they don't want to see them do good, so they rather take from them.
Because I don't know whether he's dead or alive. I don't know whether he's going to live or not.
I'm worried about my little young one and my little cousins because you don't know if they're going to shoot or not.
2 weeks ago, over drugs. A young man died right here in the middle of the street.
Yeah, for nothing.
For nothing. Drugs.
And my brother's gone, and it hurt me. Me and my brother went through thick and thin. We done everything together. And ain't nothing that we ain't never done together. And whatever I done, he done with me. And it hurt me, because it's like they took off half of my heart from me.
I think one of the reasons why there's violence in an area like the place where I pastor, which is probably one of the poorest zip codes in Jefferson County, has to do with people's sense of hope.
I mean, really, what can you tell a person that has lost someone, especially out here in the streets?
I feel like I have to watch myself wherever I am, whether it's the West End, whether it's Park Hill, whether it's the East End, South End.
Somebody said soon I will be done with all the troubles in the world. And you know what? We have a whole lot of troubles in this world in which we're living in. But you know, we gotta do something. A whole lot of things going down. But you know what? As hard as it might seem, there is hope. Outside my window, it's the middle of the day. Sacrifice your life to make a day. Well, who will be the next victim? The one who's buying or the one who's selling? Never thought this would come to Louisville. Well, now there's a killing 2 and 3 and 4 times a month. The suspects out there on the loose. Well, no use of them killing us, we're killing ourselves. If you really, really wanna know the truth,
2007 was a record year for homicides in the city. 81 people were killed in Metro Louisville.
In 2007, police found the body of a 4-year-old boy in the back of a garbage truck. A sex offender is the suspected killer of Cesar Ivan Aguilar Cano.
A tip from a payphone leads Louisville police to a murdered man in the West End. The tip took police to an apartment on South 21st Street near Market.
Metro police had made an arrest in an early morning double murder.
Police now have a suspect in a murder that happened more than 2 years ago.
Whoever killed their mother shot Erica Harper as well, at least twice in the head, intentionally.
Metro police are looking for suspects in 3 separate shootings that left 2 people dead and 5 people injured. And it all happened Saturday night.
I was at work. I was teaching school at my job, and somebody called me on my job and told me what had happened. He had been shot. I went over to his mama's house, and his mama came to me and told me that he was gone. And that was so heartbreaking that, you know, I had a lot of friends that went through it, and I could comfort my friends of going through it, but I never had went through it until that day. And it was a devastating day for me because I just had been with him 2 days before. And kind of went blank for a minute, couldn't believe it. And had all kind of thoughts running through my mind, you know, like who done it, why did they do it? So many things run through your mind at that particular time that you don't know if you're thinking straight.
He was a family man, and he believed in God because that's the way he was raised up. Well, it was on a Sunday, and he had called me earlier about a football game that him and his friend was watching. And I had no idea something like this was going to happen. And so I guess it was about 8:30 or 9 o'clock, we got a call and said that he had been shot. And when we got there, he was already dead. And his 4-year-old son, he witnessed the whole thing.
The day all that happened, I was down at the Southwick Cotter Home Festival, and it was about over, and we was getting ready to leave, and some gunshots went off over there in the park. When the gunshots went off, we left. We got ready to get in the car, and I got a phone call saying Terrell had got shot. They didn't say he had got killed. So by panicking, I came home. You know, when someone tells you your child has got shot, all you do is go into panic mode. But I told it was me and my girls, I told them to be quiet. And I was trying to calm them down. By the time we got to Humbler, that's when I seen the car. And I'm gonna tell you from there, I don't know what happened. I kind of lost it. All I did was got on my knees. I fell. Well, I just fell to the ground and I just said, my baby, my baby.
When I got the call, and then when my son called and said, Mommy, your brother's been shot again, I thought, wow, I got to get up to the hospital. And I got like really nervous. I felt jumpy and edgy and really couldn't think straight. And so then I hurried up and I got the keys and went up to the hospital, just hoping for the best. And when I got there, there was not a lot of information at the time because they wouldn't let anybody go back there except my mom. And so basically everybody was out there just waiting and waiting. And so I went outside the hospital and stood outside for a while. And then one of his children came out and she was screaming and hollering, "Not my daddy," and then she was just like, you know, we were trying to get her and calm her down, and I realized then he's gone, you know.
That morning, I didn't believe it. It took me a while, actually. I mean, it took me probably about a year to even come to the terms that it even happened.
I didn't get a call. I came home from work and felt my baby. My baby was laid across his coffee table right here. My door was kicked out off the hinge. And for some reason, I couldn't come past the door to get in the house because my foot got stuck. I peeked in. He was laid across my coffee table, but all I could see was his feet and his legs. And his feet was this big, and I just fell to my knees because I knew it was dead. And after that, it's a blank. It's a blank.
It has a certain energy, violence in general, that it takes on at certain periods. You can never predict it. You can at some level try to at least say, well, the violence will enhance itself at this particular time of the season, et cetera, et cetera. But, I mean, from my vantage point, from me interacting with individuals who potentially have anger and rage problems, if you will, there's always the potential for a violent outburst to just kind of manifest itself, if you will.
What makes people want to kill another person? I'm still wondering that today, and I know I have been to funerals that other parents have lost their children to, and I sit back and I watch them. The first thing I say is, I know what you're going through.
When I see it happening again, I mean, I always think about what happened to him, always. And I also think about the pain that everybody else is going through, that me and my daughter went through. It's sad to me. It's sad how, you know, you can just go on and have no morals, no conscience, and, you know, kill someone and just don't care about it.
Well, I believe there's so much violence. I don't think there's any one particular reason why there's violence. I think the issue of violence is a complex matter, and so I think all of the reasons why there are violence, you know, you can't really sum it up in one reason. I could talk about why there's violence in areas like ours. I think one of the reasons why there's violence in an area like the place where I pastor, which is probably one of the poorest zip codes in Jefferson County, has to do with people's sense of hope and all of the other pathologies that accompany areas where there's poverty and a high misery index. So, you know, one reason people commit violence is because it's a part of human nature, for the same reason people do a whole host of other things, to be sure. Frustration, high levels of frustration, and not having a sense of a reasonable alternative to violence. You know, sometimes people resort to violence because they feel like their back is against the wall and they can't put their finger on any one person or any one thing that gives them this feeling of emptiness and hopelessness, so they lash out at the people who are closest to them, not only as relatives, but closest to them even in proximity. That's why it's not surprising in black communities that most black people are killed by other black people, is because they usually express their rage towards the people who are around them. Also, with the influx of drugs in the community, that adds more volatility to the community as well. So I think that when you add drugs and poverty and hopelessness, there's a lot of rage and frustration, and so people lash out.
Most people are dying so young. The next generation, I don't know, because they dying. They're getting killed. They're killing each other over stupid stuff. They're killing each other over.
Do you worry about them sometimes, man, for their safety?
Yeah, I don't stay down here anymore. I live down here.
Why did you move away?
Because I got an opportunity to move away, so I took the opportunity in there.
Did you kind of, were you concerned with violence and stuff?
This is like normal to me. I'm just so used to it.
So you're used to violence?
Yes.
So, but what do you worry about? What do you worry about the most in regards to them and their safety? I mean, just off the top of your head.
Somebody like shooting outside, that's my main like.
In other words, not necessarily aiming at you or them, just straight bullets. So that concerns you a lot.
Yeah.
Overall, with violence, though, what do you think is like the ultimate, let's say, cure to really get a handle on everything and to really stop what's going on?
I don't think it'll never be a cure, because it's like too many people that's corrupt, so I don't think it'll never be a cure.
Stay away from it, I like to say, man. Best I can get on it. Kind of get at one nation, I guess.
How do you stay away from beefs, man?
Works.
Oh.
Works.
So even though you're around the projects and you got to live around all this, that don't give you an excuse to go out there and hurt somebody because you ain't got a lot of money in that.
True.
So
yeah, you really don't.
So that's an excuse then.
That's a big excuse for me. I mean, a big excuse for me, you know. As long as I stay working, I stay out of trouble.
Why do you think it's a lot of beefs out here from your perspective? Why do you think it's so much beef?
It's a lot of jealousy and, jealousy basically, because it's like, I don't know, too many people don't want to get out here and get it themselves, so they get jealous of a person, they see a person doing good and they don't want to see them do good, so they rather take from them.
Tell other people out there how it feels to be trying to hope that your son don't die while he's on the operating room table.
I mean, that's just a terrible feeling. I mean, it's like you don't even have no insides. It's just horrible, because no parent want to bury their child. I'd rather my child bury me first. And, you know, just to sit up and not know whether he's going to make it or not.
Thank you.
When I would get ready to try to pull off on the moped, the little dude hopped off the wall, the little brick wall that's located at Boone's Park where my brother's memorial is, and jumped in front of the moped. So I guess like keeping us from trying to ride off and shit, getting me all that chains, rings, and phone, jewelry and stuff. So then we started laughing. Then he's like, you think everything was funny, and then he shot me in the stomach right here. And then my brother said, dang, you shot my brother. And he shot my brother, DeAndre. And then my other brother, Jermaine, he tried to take off. And he shot my brother in the back and the leg.
And Jermaine died several days later, right? In the hospital.
Yeah, he died on his Sunday, following Sunday.
And when you were shot in the stomach, though, you realized you felt that impact automatically and everything.
Yeah,
what was going through your head? Did you think that I'm about to die?
Yeah. And I can't believe I was shot again. I just found out I gotta go to rehab to learn how to walk again. because they messed up my nerves when I got shot the second time in my stomach. One of my main nerves in my body got bruised, and it messed up my nerve in my leg.
You've been hit by bullets, not once, twice, within a matter of a week and something. Once in the bottom of your foot, the night of Thunder over Louisville, and then a week later when you lost your brother Jermaine, your friend got shot, and you paying the ultimate consequence of those bullets too. What would you like to tell young people about the consequences of dealing with guns and bullets? What would you like to tell them?
That it ain't the way.
Why not?
Cause you don't want to end up in jail. I know what jail's like. It ain't no place where a person.
What about ending up the way you ended up?
Ending up like the way I am. Walking around with a colostomy bag hanging off your stomach. You gotta change every time. You can't, you feel me? Everywhere you go, you gotta change it.
So you said, and it's the last thing, you said God might be the only answer left to get up out of the hell that some of these young people done put themselves in, along with the adults.
Right.
You're saying that the Creator might be the only thing left to hold on to get some real power from. Why is that?
Because like after they do the consequences, that's the only thing they can look at is pray and ask God for help. Because once you're in that predicament, you stuck for real. And like me, I was stuck. Like they said, I was deceased for 3 days. They couldn't get me to breathe or nothing. And I finally got up the third day, started breathing on my own. Then they finally took one tube out. I started talking lightweight, then they took a next tube out. So it's like I was just praying. My father and them everybody was praying with me and praying for me. So it looked like them prayers came through and kept me focused and got me all the way back.
When you woke up and seen me in the hospital room, and you didn't know how I was feeling when I was looking at you, the night that you went in the hospital, and I looked at you, I had a funny feeling over my whole body that I didn't know if you was gonna make it or not. What made you keep on fighting even though you lost your man? And the day we told you, two questions lastly. What made you keep on fighting? And when the day we told you that Jermaine was gonna be took off life support and he was gone, how did you feel both times?
Actually, I felt hurt. And then I felt hurt because they kept it from me. Feel me? And then like when I kept asking everybody where's my brother at, feel me? Then nobody tell me that like he was straight. Until like family, I got like all the way well. They finally told me that my brother's gone, and it hurt me. You feel me? Me and my brother went through thick and thin. We done everything together, and ain't nothing that we ain't never done together. And whatever I done, he done with me. It hurt me because it's like they took up half of my heart from me, man.
So were you praying to God the whole time to get you strong so you can make it, brother?
I lightweight try to give up, and then I couldn't. It's like I couldn't. He wouldn't let me.
The Creator wouldn't let you give up, would he?
So I kept fighting. And it's just like it's funny because it was just her. One day, then the next day he was gone. I just wrote him on my pad to go to his little parenting class. We sat up for like a seed, from 6 to 7. We was just trying to do right. It was our whole mojo. Just doing right for this whole summer. Because we were going to start hanging with our young ones more often. Because we already said we weren't giving them enough attention like we're supposed to.
So you want to be a better parent?
Yeah. Well, like.
You did a good job. Thanks a lot. You think this territorial thing, as far as the beefing between different parts of town, is kind of silly to you? Or what do you think about that kind of beefing, man? Is it justified or not?
In the streets, it's justified.
You say it's justified when a person wants to kind of own their own turf. I feel that. I understand what you're saying. But how do the babies get caught up in that kind of beef?
That's an accident.
So you saying that when the babies get caught up in this stuff, that's accident stuff?
That's when they slip through the holes of the system and the white man got it.
Okay.
It beats us down.
And why do you feel you being beat down? I just quick question. I'm getting your thoughts. It's real deep.
Man, I think the system is designed to keep you broke unless you make it yourself.
So do you think by people not getting enough money in their pocket, that's why they clock out here?
Yeah. What else would they?
What school you going to, my man?
University of Kentucky.
Let me ask you this question right here. You were talking about territorial and you said that it's justified right now. Have you ever thought about this though? The fact that really, for the projects, I grew up in Clarksdale. We didn't own none of the projects at all. Projects is owned by the city government. So when you're fighting over territory and claiming territory really is something that you don't even own?
Oh, it's deep. Think about that.
If you live somewhere and you gotta put up with that every day, you may not own it legally, but I'm here every day. This is mine. This is all I got.
So but here's the one problem with it though, bro. In Clarksdale, we thought we owned it as well also, but Clarksdale is gone right now.
Well,
and most of the people were moved in there though. So is it right to fight over a territory that you don't even own? That you don't even pay taxes on?
I just told you, man. If you live around, you gotta put up with that every day, and this is what you deal with on a daily basis. That's yours. That's all you got. So why not fight for what's yours?
That's good. We got you.
I think when he graduated in December, it was like he did a 360. I mean, I guess he felt like he was grown, you know.
And he graduated from?
Liberty High School. He came out in December, and it's just like he did a 360 on me, you know. He moved out in February, and from there on, it wasn't no talking to him. He had a mind of his own, you know. He was real smart aleck, real. I don't know what happened. I mean, just like he did a 360. I mean, it's all I can say. It's like he did a 360 overnight. Different people would call and tell me stuff that he was doing. You know,
what were some of the things that they were talking about?
Smoking weed, trying to sell drugs, taking pills, drinking syrup. Guess he called himself, I guess they said he was robbing people. I don't know. I mean, and I would talk to him about it. I would ask him, what are you doing? You know, he'd be like, don't worry about me. You know, carrying a gun. I'm like, why are you carrying this gun if you're not doing nothing? Or if you're not worried about nothing, why are you carrying a gun? Only people carry guns is people that either gonna protect themselves or, you know, always in something. You know, just wanted to be out here. You know, you see people with money, and I guess he thought he could just make that fast money too, but trying to be in the fast life took him away a little too fast, didn't it?
It's okay, baby. I'm
If I had any idea that visitors would have took my child away, I would have never came here 9 years ago.
The Antonio Thorpe that gave you the earlier interview in the summertime was clearly not the Antonio Thorpe that I had private conversations with in my office, or when I would see him down in the projects and getting him one-on-one. He was more or less a human being describing to me, and he loved to describe to me on a daily basis when I would interact with him, the joy and him also seeing the benefit of going to a higher level of education and knowing that he struggled from the bottom to earn that credit of creating a situation to go to University of Kentucky on an academic scholarship. So yes, he was struggling with both worlds, and I describe those worlds as the upper and the lower worlds of life. Unfortunately, one foot was on one side of the river, one foot was on the other side of the river. His foot that was that was connected to the lower world was more or less a foot that was mimicking a lifestyle that he really didn't want to be a part of. But also, he didn't want to surrender to, at some level, that kind of dialogue or description in most neighborhoods about, you're not a part of us anymore. He wanted to be a part of what he felt he needed to be a part of, and that was a certain level of street cred.
My name is George. I'm currently serving 57 years for first-degree armed robbery, 2 counts of trafficking cocaine, possession of cocaine and first-degree PFO, and possession of a firearm. I've been incarcerated this time for approximately 7 years. I have 3 more years before I had to get a chance at parole. I'm from Louisville. I was born on 40th Street. I'm 47 years old, and I first came to prison when I was 18 years old. When I was around 12 years old, I was pretty much a straight A student. I come from a single parent household. My mother was a school teacher. My father was basically a thug. What I learned from my father was how to be a hustler. And I embraced that lifestyle. I thought that this would make me closer to him. I did get a relationship finally with him, but it wasn't at that time. We walked this loop together here at KSR when I first came to prison. I started off smoking a little weed, cutting school, shooting craps, and it escalated. It was like a snowball effect. I went from smoking weed and shooting craps to taking pills to eventually I started shooting dope. I started shoplifting just to pay for my habit. Then I started selling drugs, and then I started rolling drunks. Next thing I know, I was stealing cars and I was committing burglaries. And of course, when you embrace that lifestyle, it comes with some conditions. You accept those conditions. And one of those conditions is that you may have to hurt someone, or someone may hurt you, but it just becomes par for the course. You don't care about it, you don't care about human life, and I think one of the reasons is because you don't care about yourself. When I first came to prison, I wasn't educated, had low self-esteem, was drug addicted, and I had problems with anger. When I came to prison, I shot basketball and I lift weights. I got out of prison, I still was uneducated, low self-esteem, had drug addiction problems, and I didn't last a year out of prison when I got out that time. This cycle just kept completing itself over and over and over. And now, eventually, I'm in here with a 57-year sentence. You know, I'm 47. You do the math. I've done 7 years. I can be 97 if I max out. That's pretty much a waste of my life. That's what I've done since I was 17 years old. It's wasted my life. And I thought that I could be a gangster. I thought that that was the way that you could make it. You know, the reality is that there's only one outcome. I know there's 2 outcomes. You're either going to end up in prison or you're going to end up dead. There's no one I know that is in that type of life that walks away unscathed. They don't just make it out. You know, I've been shot 5 times. My brother was killed by a stray bullet during a robbery. I had a stepsister that was raped and murdered, and it was all because we lived that lifestyle. You know, when I started educating myself, and I believe you get two educations, one that is given to you formally and one that you teach yourself. I would pick up books like Carter G. Woodson, Tony Brown, the 22 Essays, and I started realizing that there was people that made it in spite of their downtrodden place in life. You know, they did that in spite of that. You know, they became great individuals. And I found out the reason that they do become great individuals is because they learn how to love themselves. Do this outreach program, we have 8, 9, 10-year-olds, and we come in and I ask them what their goals are. And they'll say, I want to be a zoologist, or I want to be a lawyer. And I'm amazed. But when we get to 15, 16-year-olds, they want to be athletes. They want to be rap stars. You know, those goals have been lost. And I think a lot of times it's because they've given up on themselves, or they don't have the tools, or someone directing them that's kind of like pushing them toward those goals. And we miss that in the urban community. We miss those type of goals because we don't see that in the mentors there. You know, when I got shot, I was going over a friend's house whose uncle sold weed. You know, I wasn't going to purchase weed. Anything illicit, I was going to give this guy some money. I don't know what was going down when I got there, but the guy that lived a few doors had a beef with the guy that sold weed, maybe because he had the traffic, maybe because he didn't give him some weed, I don't know, but he shot me because I was going over there. Shot me 5 times. Now here's the most poignant point about that. A month prior to that, I shot a guy over a $60 play in a crap game. You know, and now that I look back at that, I'm saying, is a guy's life worth more than $60? It was $60. The only reason he didn't die is because the gun jammed. And I think that was divine intervention. But if you live by the sword, then you die by the sword. I'm a firm believer in karma. You know, I'm doing 57 years for some crimes that I was convicted of. But if you looked at all the crimes I've committed over my lifetime, I would be doing a lot more time than that if I had been caught doing them.
All right, tell us where we're about to go into.
This is my room. This is, you know, where I've lived for the last 7 years. This is probably where I'll live for at least another 3. And if the Department of Correction doesn't decide to release me, this is where I'll be for the next 40 plus years. Welcome to my abode. The House of Pain has a double meaning, you know. It's an 8 by 10 structure. I can almost touch it this way. For the last 7 years, I've slept on steel. My mattress is about 1.5 inches thick. I have a 13-inch TV, and we have selected channels that I watch.
When you were younger, how big was your room at home compared to what you have now?
Well, you know, I shared a room with my sister, and we had bunk beds. We lived in my grandparents' basement, so I had it was at least 3 times the size of this. You know, I would trade anything to go back to those days and make different decisions in my life. The solutions that I think that young guys can do is really look into themselves and say, what do I want with my future? You know, do I actually think that I can make it doing criminal activities?
I had the unfortunate occasion to go to the scene of a murder, actually where a baby was actually killed by the boyfriend. The girl, the baby's mother, and the baby was killed by the boyfriend. When I experienced that, and I was very young, but I had a family of my own, even though I was young, I instantly thought about how would my wife deal with this? And how can I even live with myself if something happened to my children. So, you know, one of the things that I try very hard to do is not to personalize, and I tell police officers, and it sounds maybe a little challenging, try not to personalize everything that occurs while you're out there being a police officer, because you're going to see a lot of the bad side of what occurs in today's world. And if you personalize all that, you're not going to be effective in doing your job. But at the same time, you still want to be sensitive. You've got to be sensitive. You got to understand the importance of sympathy and even in empathy. So, you know, living the way that I was raised, and I was raised in a very similar environment where there was a lot of violence about a single mother. And unfortunately, I had saw murders and shootings, and my best friend got shot and killed at the age of 16, and I was only 13. So I was accustomed to seeing that. You know, when a murder occurs in our community, obviously that's of grave concern to me, and like it is to most of our residents. Specifically as it relates to the west side of our town, which unfortunately is where many of the murders are occurring, where most of the murders are occurring, and a lot of them do involve African American men between the ages of 18 and 30. You know, and it goes to what many of us have been saying in the community and across the country. We're destroying ourselves.
Carter G. Woodson talked about the miseducation of the Negro. And to a great degree, many of these kids have been miseducated. They don't know right from wrong, left from right. We don't have a children's problem as much as we have a parental problem. Let me illustrate what I mean. Right here on my desk, I have on my desk bookends. Let's say these books represent children. Notice they are in place because they have bookends keeping them in place. If you move one of the bookends, they fall out of place. When you have strong parents in the home, a strong mom, a strong dad, then these parents, these bookends, keep children in place. No bookends, children fall out.
Young black men out there that are destroying themselves, you know, and I contribute that to a lack of care and love for themselves. You know, I've always believed that if you don't love yourself, you don't respect yourself, it is difficult for you to respect someone else. I contributed to not having a way to deal with issues other than with a gun or a knife. I contributed to just not having a good foundation to some extent as it relates to home. You know, when most of us, many people go astray at some point in life, but if they're built on or raised on a good foundation, even if they go astray, they have something to go back to.
When I see guys on the corner who will be there all day and all night to sell rock or whatever they're selling, those people have an entrepreneurial gift, and it's just pointed in the wrong direction. You'd be surprised the type of minds are in a kind of community like this in terms of not just entrepreneurship, but just people, for example, people with the kind of calculations they can do in their head when they're talking about their product, even though the product may be poison, type of calculations they can do in the top of their head. Let you know that we've got people here who've got extraordinary potential, but it's not untapped, it's just headed in the wrong direction. And so one of the things we're seeking to do is try to try to help people wake up and help them discover their potential and the possibilities that are possible when people use that potential in the right direction. You can use that kind of entrepreneurial potential, and you won't have to look over your shoulder every 5 minutes to see if somebody's rolling up on you, whether it's a competitor or whether it's the police. if we can convince people that there's a better way than the way that they're doing, then we can not only save their lives, we can save the community and change the community.
The only way that we can deal with this problem and these attitudes that have been created, again, probably over at least 20 years now, or it has enhanced itself in 20 years to a really non-acceptable level. It has to be an internal will that is created with those who live and interact with each other on a daily basis. It's obvious that if law enforcement could eradicate violence, it would have been done a long time ago. It's obvious if faith-based institutions could eradicate violence, they would have did this a long time ago. Everybody has to be a willing participant.
What does it feel like losing your brother, though?
Man, I'm talking about it hurts, man. You know what I'm saying? This is my dog, my ace boom coon for real, for real. And it hurt because I wasn't around to be even there to support him when he was in that bed. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then there was a whole lot of good stuff going on with him, and I didn't get to see none of that. And it really hurts, man. It's unexplainable. Ain't no words in the dictionary can explain how I feel about my loss right here. When you out here in the street life, anything can happen. The life we live in is the life we choose and the life we die in. So, you know what I'm saying? I just got out of penitentiary, you know what I'm saying, for doing the wrong thing at a young age. But right now I go JCC. So, you know what I'm saying? I honestly feel good out of my whole life ever going to school. I feel good about going to school right now, especially coming from where I come from, doing what I used to do. But we just wanted to be out here. We made the choice, like I say, life is about choices, man. He made the choice to live the life he lived, and look at it.
Well, for those in our community who are terrorizing our community and making our community unlivable, who have a philosophy that I have to do what I have to do to get over, then those who are civil in the community, those who want a strong community free of terror, then we have got to do what we have got to do. And what we have got to do is to say basically enough is enough and too much is too much. And we have to collaborate with the police and stand up and recognize that the real enemy within the urban community is no longer the Klansmen under the hood, but it's the boys in the hood who are terrorizing the neighborhood. And we have got to do what we've got to do to take our community back.
And unfortunately, a lot of our young people in our community and across this country don't have a good strong foundation. So when something goes wrong, their immediate way of addressing it is through violence.
How much love is out here, man? None. Wow. I gotta ask that last question. Why ain't no love, man? There's a reason for no love. Why not?
We broke.
Also, so economics plays a big part in me getting clocking and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So jobs is an issue for real.
Yeah, jobs is a major issue. You can't get a job if you're a felon out here.
You know, I am not a person that really buy into a whole bunch of excuses. I have a difficult time, and I've been doing this for 34 years and in 4 different police departments, and I still to this point have a difficult time in people justifying why they would kill somebody out of vindictiveness. So I'm inclined to agree with Reverend Cosby as it relates to that. It is a personal responsibility. And the fact that you were raised not under the best of scenarios, while it is tough, it is not an excuse to commit a crime, and it's certainly not an excuse to commit murder. And as you well know, there are many people in our community that have not been raised under the best of scenarios and turn out to be outstanding citizens in this community and contributing fantastically not only to the community, to the country.
We've got to expose them to something other than what they're being exposed to on a regular basis. Glamorized violence, this myth of territory, and somehow this is my turf and that it's worth dying over, which is ridiculous. And the tragedy is when the idea of having neighborhoods and people fighting over them is not necessarily new. But the weapons are, we're going from fists to sticks to knives and to guns. And we need to really impress upon them that when you die, ain't no coming back from that.
And people will say, well, he grew up poor, he grew up with so many disadvantages. That may be true. But listen to this is very important. Even when something is not your fault, it is still your responsibility. 50 Cent says, get rich or die trying. And he gets rich with his exploitive music. He gets rich, and brothers and sisters in the hood are die trying.
And I don't think the majority of black men have that kind of mentality. I mean, I think we have some young people out here and that are doing that, and they use that as an excuse. And then, unfortunately, I think we have some people who justify their actions, which I think is inappropriate. Again, for me, it comes down to family values. It comes down to loving yourself, respecting yourself. And if you can't do those things, it's going to be very difficult for you to respect others. It's going to be difficult for you to respect their property and to respect them as individuals. And then it comes down to also how do you address stressful situations? How do you address when you're confronted? How do you address violence? And if they don't have the skill sets, if we don't have the skill sets to address those things, we're going to continue to do what we've been doing. Young people are going to continue to handle an issue with a gun.
This is my arrest sheet. 43 arrests, 13 felony convictions. You know what I'm saying? I'm not proud of this record. This is the record that I'm proud of. This is my college transcript. I just graduated with my 3rd degree, 3.82, high distinction. I have 1 C on there, and that was when I first started. And where I was still caught in those old ways, and I thought I knew more than my instructor. But these are the things that I'm proud of. This is what I can show my kids. I have a degree that I can put on the wall. I can't put my convictions on the wall and be proud of it.
Most of the time there's not a lot of father figure around anymore. And I'm not gonna say our black males are the target, but they are. These boys, the sagging pants and all that junk.
Your pants sag because your mindset sags. And sagging pants, sagging mindset, sagging values, sagging dreams. When you have sagging dreams, sagging values, sagging mindset, sagging morals on the inside, then you'll have sagging pants on the outside. Sagging with the N. Sagging, spell it out. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to use the word, but I'm going to ask you to do something. Spell the word sagging with an N backwards, and you tell me what it spells. You are what you wear. There's a Jewish proverb that says that a parent who does not teach his child a marketable skill by default teaches them to become a thief. And if you don't have a marketable skill, then you're going to sell drugs, you're going to steal, and you're going to terrorize our neighborhood to survive at the expense of other people. You don't develop a marketable skill with sagging pants. Pull your pants up.
The shootings began when investigators say two men walked through a house in the 2000 block of Market Street on Saturday night. They forced a woman to the floor at gunpoint and then went upstairs and shot 21-year-old William Sawyers, who fell through a window. The coroner's office says Sawyers died from a gunshot to his shoulder.
On the same day that your son was killed, there was another man that was shot. His name was William Sawyers. He was murdered on Market Street. According to LMPD, they say that your son was also involved with that shooting right before your son was killed. How do you handle that? How do you connect with that family? Because neither one of these murders should have never happened.
I'm going to speak on that. That family, we're friends. We are friends. The guy you're talking about on Market, his sister works with me. We're real good friends. Me, the mother, all of us. And we understand what went on that day, and we understand some, and some we don't. But I can speak this, we're here for each other. I can tell you that. Both sides of the family is here for each other. And I could call that family if I need anything. They could call me if they need anything. Plus, we also go to church together. So that's what I'm saying. Some things that is spoken on, we probably never, both sides of the family probably never know the truth of what happened that night. But I know this, we have each other. So that's all I can say about that.
When you look at an interview like Connie Cherry's and you hear exactly what she says, that it doesn't matter what happened during the time that Terrell was killed, she's not worried about that at all. And whatever that family needs from the other victim's family, she's there for them and they're going to be there for her. What if every murder could end up like that, where nobody wants retaliation, nobody wants to get back, because in the end, it never brings back the victim at hand. Just like the same situation with Terry Tharp, she already knows Antonio is gone, he'll never come back. We can't lose another young man to that cycle of violence the way that we lost him. And in the end, the only way to really stop violence is through forgiveness. In 2007, 81 people lost their lives to homicide in Louisville, Kentucky. To the date of this recording, that number stands right now at 61. Yeah, we got something to celebrate. We're not where we were a year ago, but we still got to get control of the violence in Louisville, Kentucky. This is your wake-up call. Will you wake up?
Children of the world today, parents of the world today, all over the nation. I want you to take time, a real good thought in your mind to make this disease about violence and children leaving here too fast. Pull together, chain together, pray together, bond together to see that our children have a better way of life by the teaching and understanding of fathers, mothers, mentors. If we don't stop this now, we got more and more problems coming in the near future.
It allowed me to see no worth in another human life that I would be so quick to take. A human life, I would terrorize it with my vicious pimping.
When you wrote that, what were you thinking while you was writing it?
I was just thinking about how I had settled for less for so many years, how I had poisoned myself, and how I had terrorized the people who had chose to love me and reach out to me, how I had just enveloped myself in this destructive appetite and kept feeding it until it consumed me and everybody that wanted to be in contact with me.